My guest today is a commentator on ESPN, the host of the Stephen A. Smith Show, and arguably the greatest sports debater of all time, Stephen A. Smith.
What's going on, man? How you doing? How's everything?
It's good. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm a big fan, have been for a very long time, so this is exciting and fun for me. Let's just get right into it. There's been a lot of chatter about you potentially running for president in 2028, and you've had to kind of tell folks to pump the brakes a bit. If I could briefly sum up what I think your position is, it's that you know the process of running sucks. You don't want to go through it, but if drafted to serve, you would be open to it. Is that fair?
I think it's fair. I don't have any desire to do it. I have no desire to be a politician whatsoever. But if the country was in a bad place and you told me that somehow, some way that I'm favored to win an election and be the president of the United States, I don't think anybody would summarily dismiss that personally, because we all live in this country and we all understand what comes with it. And as much of a headache as it would be, as stressful as it would be, as much of a compromise it could potentially be to my quality of life, make no mistake about it. What kind of quality do we really have if the country sucks? If it's just in a very, very bad place with no reprieve in sight whatsoever. So again, for me personally, with what I have going on in my life, with how happy I am, with the fact that I'm more interested in remaining a pundit and a commentator rather than a politician, those things still stand. I'm very authentic in saying that. I have no desire to be a politician whatsoever. But my God, if you came to me and said, listen, there is nobody else, and America is clamoring for you, which I sincerely doubt would ever happen. But if that were to happen, would I give it strong consideration? I won't lie. Yes, I would. I would give it strong consideration.
Well, I love that you're talking about politics all the time now, because you are a blunt, candid guy. You tell it how it is. And especially when it comes to the Democratic Party, because we're all trying to figure out what happened, why we lost to Trump a second time. Sometimes I think that Democrats like myself, we're too close to the issue. We overthink shit. We read too many polls and focus groups and miss the big picture. So big picture, in your mind, like, what is the simplest explanation for why Democrats lost?
You forgot about what got you here. Black folks got you here. Hispanics got you here. The working class got you here. The most egregious thing that you could say about the Democratic Party right now is that the Republican Party seems to be more identifiable with the working class than the Democrats. Who would have ever thought in our wildest dreams that anybody would be able to get away with saying that? Remember, a lot of times, people that are in the know, that are highly, highly knowledgeable about the intricacies that involve politics, they lean on that. They keep forgetting the voters don't know what they know. The voters live on perception. Whatever issue touches them is what touches them. And that decides who they're going to vote for or whether they'll vote at all. And a lot of people don't get that. I laugh when folks try to challenge my knowledge of the intricacies of politics. I'm like, you're clearly not listening. I tell you all the time, I don't study it like that. I read the newspaper. I watch news. I'm a conscientious observer, but I'm not entrenched in it the way somebody that lives it every day would be. But I'm an American citizen and I'm a voter. And I'm watching what's going on in the streets of America. And I'm telling you, certain things ain't going to work. When you look at the Democratic Party, certainly there's probably policies that they've pushed forth and battles that they have fought that would have benefited working class Americans. But that ain't what they were talking about. They were talking about LGBTQ. They were talking about transgender rights specifically. They were acting as if there was no problem at the borders involving illegal immigration. Nobody was believing that. Because if you travel, if you see footage of the streets of America, you're like, what's going on? It wasn't just Fox News. It was everybody. ABC, NBC, CBS. Everybody was talking about the border. When there was crimes in the streets and people were being let out the same day that they were getting arrested. But everybody was talking about that. When you had stores that were allowing 3 people in it at a time because they were afraid they were going to get robbed and the repercussions weren't severe enough. So there was a level of fearlessness that the lawless in our communities were, that they possessed. People were talking about that. And the Democrats were talking about something else. And so when you look at it from that standpoint, you just say to yourself, they really, really forgot. They forgot what got them here. What made them so popular? What got Clinton in office? What got Barack Obama in office? Hell, to some degree, what got Jimmy Carter in office before Reagan arrived? They forgot all of these things. And to forget that against Donald Trump, of all people, who's claiming elections are rigged, who's calling y'all crooks, who's saying that y'all are nasty, evil people, questioning how duplicitous you can be, how corrupt you can be, even while he's getting impeached, even while he's being convicted of felonies, all of this stuff. And y'all just ignored it. Not you. I'm not talking about you, Tommy, but I'm just saying the Democratic Party. I hear you. It boggled the mind. It boggled the mind. It still does.
I feel like there's two parts to the criticism. Part of it I agree with, which is there were some issues like the border where it wasn't just Republicans talking about concerns. It was a broader set of voters, and Democrats tried to be like, oh, that's a distraction. Actually, we should be talking about this thing. It didn't speak to those fears. I think Joe Biden got there late when he supported this bipartisan bill in the Senate that got killed by Trump, and then did a bunch of executive orders to try to shut down the border. But he got there late and people were pissed, and it didn't change the perception. But the other half of this, I think, is that Donald Trump captures attention and keeps it on himself in a way that no other precedent in history has, for better, for worse. And I think this is where I wanted your advice, because you're someone, you are incredible at crafting a narrative, making news, breaking through on social media. You've created your own like sports media empire at a time when people were like, oh, you can't leave ESPN or like do something on your own, right? Because it's all about the mothership. What advice do you have for Democrats about how to get heard and reach people in this digital age?
Get Trump-like. What I mean by that, Tom, is be your real, true, authentic self. For better or worse, can you genuinely tell me, as a person who covers this stuff for a living, that Trump surprises you? What?
No.
Think about how he acts. Think about the things that he says. And then he goes and he tries to do it. For better or worse, he's letting you know, I don't care. I'm not a politician. I'm not a career politician. Listen, the man doesn't even want to be in the White House. Every chance he gets, he's at Mar-a-Lago. He doesn't even want to be there. Okay, he wants to run the country from his resort, for crying out loud. He might want to use the Air Force One plane, okay, so he don't have to spend his own money with his gas and everything else. But he'd rather, but that's about it. The man wants to be where he wants to be. He wants to do what he wants to do. He wants to show you every chance he gets that he is nothing like the career politicians. He is nothing like what you have witnessed for decades on Capitol Hill. He says Capitol Hill needs to be purged. What is he doing? He's trying to purge Capitol Hill. You understand? Meanwhile, we had Kamala Harris, Miss Prim and Proper, tries to say the right things, listening to her party, talk to her about this is the way to go over the last 107 days to win an election, etc. And guess what? It wasn't resonating. You go on The View, and The View says, is there anything at all about Joe Biden that you would do differently, that you would change? And she looked into the cameras and said, I can't think of any. What? I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, you can't do that, because it's not just about your answer. It's about the believability factor. You see, even when Trump is lying, you believe that he believes what he's saying and what he says he's going to do. Even if he's lying to himself, you sit up there, you look it up, look, man, you can't just eradicate departments like that. You can't just violate civil liberties. Like, you can't just sit up there and make your own rules and subvert the Constitution and try to get a third term in office, whatever. But who doubts he's going to try? Who doubts that he's going to try to pull that off? Whatever it is that he says, there is an authenticity that comes with it in terms of how it resonates to the American people who are salty and skeptical with vile feelings towards Capitol Hill. That's where the connection happens. Well, if you are somebody on the Democratic side and you feel that way, where's your vitriol? Where's your disgust? Where's your aversion to the status quo and what you aim to do about it? That's what people want to see.
And you're right. I mean, his message is burn it all down, and he somehow gets a pass for having been in charge for 4 years when all the problems he's complaining about now still existed. But Democrats were boring. We're the NBA skills competition where Wemby's cheating, while Trump is the USA-Canada hockey game where there's 3 fights in 10 seconds and you can't look away. And like, I don't know how to compete with that. We don't have a leader who can compete with that. We don't have a party that can compete with that. We don't have a message that can compete with that.
But tell why. You can't compete with that, and you don't have that. I'm not talking about you specifically, of course.
I know.
About the Democratic Party. You don't know that, and you can't compete with that for the biggest reason of all, because y'all are too busy trying to pick candidates for the American people instead of listening to the American people tell you who they want. The last Democrat that the American people told you they wanted was Barack Obama. Hillary Clinton, it's her turn. Bernie Sanders had momentum. It's Hillary's turn. Joe Biden captured momentum because Representative Clyburn got involved in South Carolina, saved his behind, but it's really, really his turn, okay? He has no business running for re-election, but everybody went for it, knowing he was supposed to be transitional. He's going to be 81 years of age. Then you sit up there. He doesn't have a primary. Then he goes on the debate stage, embarrasses himself. Then y'all still let him take 3 damn weeks to walk away instead of getting the hell out there immediately so you can see if there's somebody other than Kamala Harris who could be the Democratic nominee. Then she gets the nomination, and everybody wants to act like she's the rock star all of y'all wanted all along. Oh, my God, let's throw up our hands and just to say, hey, she is the one, when you know good and damn well that wasn't the truth. Meanwhile, Trump has been around since 2015. They had Christie, they had Kasich, they had Fiorini, I believe her name is.
Yep, Carly Fiorina.
Later on, you had DeSantis, you had Nikki Haley, you had Ramaswamy, you had all of these people. It didn't matter. We went through lawfare and all this stuff. It didn't matter. They looked the public in the face and they said, we want him. We don't care what y'all want, and forced the Republican Party to capitulate to the demands of their constituency. That's what they did. The Democrats somehow, some way have gotten away with ignoring the constituency and compelling the constituency to capitulate to what they want as a party. And that is the problem. And that's why I said it all needs to go. Some of those candidates need to go. The pundits, the strategists, they need to go. Whoever was involved with the latest election, from a strategy standpoint, every one of them should be fired. Every one of them.
We're cleaning house. I think Joe Biden running for re-election was a catastrophic mistake. We will not recover from it for a long time, and I completely agree with you there. But I want your thoughts on this. Donald Trump is using sports in a really smart way politically. I think he went to college football games and UFC fights during the campaign. He went to the Super Bowl. He did a loop around the track of the Daytona 500 in his limo over the weekend. It feels like he's creating a bond with these audiences that Democrats don't have. And how do you think Democrats can be a part of that conversation? I can't think of anyone who would go to a game, like except for Barack Obama going to NBA games because he genuinely loved the sport. But like, who else?
This is why I'm a candidate. I don't want to be. And that's why I am one. Because you see, I wouldn't go to the Daytona 500, but I'd have been at the Super Bowl. I'd have been at the hockey All-Star game. I'd have been at NBA All-Star weekend. I'd be at the World Series. I'd be at All-Star weekend for baseball. I mean, the list goes. I'd be at a boxing match. I'd be at a UFC match, et cetera, et cetera. The point is, you're a politician. You're supposed to be able to do what the people want you to do as a politician. See, this is just, you're giving me damning evidence I didn't even think about. I didn't think about it until you brought it up. I'm going like this, wait a minute. Aren't they politicians? Isn't it their job to recognize and notice what their constituency finds appealing and cater to that?
But let me tell you, if Obama went to the Super Bowl, Fox News would be like, how dare he? This cost $10 million. He put Secret Service there. Like, they would go after him.
Nope, that doesn't work. Here's why.
You don't think so?
Because Obama's not looking for their vote. He knows he's not getting it. You're talking about the other side and the independents. And the independents wants, here's what the independents wants, because I'm a registered independent. I'm not a Democrat. I'm a registered, I'll vote for a Republican in a heartbeat. I might not have voted for Trump But I'm not averse to all conservative policies. I have some conservative policies I support. I have a lot of liberal policies I support. But let me
Right.
be very,
You don't like
very
taxes.
Say what?
You don't like taxes.
That's right. I don't like high taxes. I don't like high taxes. I don't like open borders. I don't like open borders. I think that those kind of things affect the economy in a negative kind of way, no matter how we try to slice it. Look at Mayor Eric Adams in New York City complaining about the billions of dollars it cost him and what it's deprived him of in terms of what he has to contribute to the system in terms of homelessness and other issues that are permeating in the city of New York City. Because why? He had to spend money on the illegal immigration issue, it being a sanctuary city. So all of those things come into play. But the point that I'm trying to make is this. If you're around, if you're looking at somebody and you're saying to yourself, what is it going to take? How can we find that candidate? The first order of business is finding a candidate that recognizes the importance of appealing to not only his own constituency, but those who are undecided and playing to win. If you're a centrist, what you're saying is, I'm willing to compromise. I'm willing to walk across the aisle and work with people. I'm not interested in all of this chaos. If it has to get chaotic, so be it. But that's not the objective. That's not the goal. We're Americans. We can come together. We can work together. Don't look at black, white, Latino, Asian, whatever the case may be. Don't look at all of that stuff and think that that's a license to dismiss and alienate others just because they don't look nor feel like you do. You might have a shot at convincing them if you talk to them. You could go to them and talk to them about what their desires are, what they wish for their communities, what's the kind of things that plagues their community and how we can alleviate those concerns. That's your responsibility. And see, to me, I'm sitting there again. I have no desire to be in politics. Zero. My life is pretty good. My life is pretty damn good. But guess what? I'm looking at it and I'm saying, this isn't hard. This isn't hard. I'm talking about compared to the Democratic candidates that you have available. It's not hard.
Who do you like?
Look at their roster.
Who do you like? You like Wes Moore, Josh Shapiro? You talked to them both recently, right? Like who's on your top five?
Listen, I was very impressed with Josh Shapiro. Very impressed with him. And I love me some Wes Moore. No doubt about it, right? And if there's anybody but I would be concerned. I think that one could easily argue Trump would never have been president if Barack Obama hadn't been president. That Barack Obama's presidency caused a white backlash, okay? Because you had people in this country that didn't like his policies, didn't like him, was walking around crying about how he's trying to indoctrinate our children just because he was speaking to elementary school kids and stuff. Just ridiculous stuff that people came up with, right? Which was far beyond the pale, no excuse for, okay? But people were really feeling like their way of life was being compromised because, again, they didn't know everything that he was doing. They were going by what they were being told by the other side. And then here comes Trump saying, we're going to purge this whole system. We're going to throw this all aside because these folks ain't strong enough, ain't good enough. Remember, Jeb Bush, low energy, Marco Rubio, small hands and all of this other stuff, little Marco and stuff like that. Carla Fiorini and, she's this or that, or Chris Christie and getting on them. We saw Kasich. I thought I was a huge fan of Kasich. But guess what? He wasn't resonating with the constituency out there. So their side chose who their side chose. You don't get an opportunity to do that as Democrats because they pick who they want exposed. Instead of saying, let's put everybody out there and see who the constituency gravitates towards. That's the problem. And that's the real reason why somebody like little old me is polling, which makes no damn sense whatsoever. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
It makes sense to me. I like it. I think it's
embarrassing
good.
to the Democratic Party. It really.
Listen, I hear on one level, sure, but also I think I'm with you. I think primaries are good. And I think the rubber meets the road in primaries, and that you could do polling all you want, but until you actually ask people to vote for someone, then you don't really know who they support. But let me talk about Trump's actions so far. I mean, I saw you say Elon Musk is a problem. Do you think Trump is overreaching? Is he doing things that might offend those moderates, or are those moderates just not even hearing about the details and they're just hearing like, oh, he's out there doing shit?
Of course he's overreaching. But why is he overreaching? Because he has the license and the mandate to do so. Because you see on the left, you've got Democrats saying there's no mandate. He didn't receive 50% of the vote. Are you kidding me? He won 49.8% of the vote. He had over 700. He had over 77 million people vote for him. He beat you by nearly 3 million votes. If you're the Democratic Party, he beat you by over 3 million, nearly 3 million votes. Okay, he won every swing state. He went up in 50 different counties across the country. Didn't drop in any of them. And oh, by the way, the black vote, the Latino vote, and the young vote, he basically got an increase in that regard. You look at all of those different things in a blue state like New York City, that in 2016, I think it was Hillary, she got like 62% of the vote in New York City. It was like 53% for Biden. It was 37% in this particular situation for Trump. He got 37%. What are you talking about? You're listening to these people and you're saying, Trump, there's no mandate. No, he does have a mandate. And because he has that, he's pushing the envelope. And why is he pushing the envelope? Because he knows something that Democrats better pick up on. Democrats are strongest usually during the national election. During those midterms, most of the time, Republicans are seen as going to the polls more so than Democrats. If Trump can somehow, some way win the midterms, he'll be able to do whatever the hell he wants because they'll get even more seats in the Senate and the House come midterm elections. He sees this. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he's pushing the envelope because he knows he has the Republicans scared shitless to go against him. So as a result, do whatever I want to do right now. I think this is going to win me additional seats for the party in the midterms, which is why he was talking about Gavin Newsom the way that he was talking about Gavin Newsom, because for the first time in a while, they sense they can take California. They can shift. They can turn it into, if not red, turn it into at least a purple state. You understand? Do something.
Yep.
He's sensing all of this, and he sees an opportunity, and that's what's going on. So I'm not surprised by what he's doing at all. It's perfectly understandable, and most people in that position of power, if they have an agenda, they will go to whatever extent necessary to do that. Remember, Barack Obama I think it was 2012, he sat up there and said the American people, not just 2008, 2012 too, said the American people have spoken. They elected us.
Right.
And oh, by the way, we don't need Congress to get everything we want done. Barack Obama said that in 2012. How do I know that? Because Trump has sent his surrogates out to remind everybody what Obama said back in 2012, just to use it.
You're right. I mean, well, the reason he said that, though, look, you're making a lot of points I agree with. I actually think Democrats have done better more recently in the midterms, and I have confidence that we can, because we're now the nerds that read the newspaper and we're highly informed and we knock on doors and we go out and we vote in midterms, whereas sort of the broader electorate that Trump brings in, which is why he kicks our ass in these presidential elections, they're more sporadic voters. But to your point about the mandate, like, of course he has a mandate. He won the election. He won by a bigger margin than he did last time. Of course he has a mandate. I think that doesn't give you a mandate to do everything you want to do, because Obama won in 2008 with 52.9% of the vote and 365 electoral votes, and Republicans tried to block literally everything he did. So I do think there's space between, yes, Trump has a mandate, but the suggestion you see sometimes that Democrats shouldn't be fighting back, or that we're the problem for fighting back, or that it's the wrong optics or messaging, if you know what I'm saying.
What I would say to you is that you're wrong. And the reason you're wrong is because never before has the Democratic Party been this damaged. This is bad, bro.
2004 was bad. We got our asses handed to us by Bush. Lost seats in Congress.
But listen, John Kerry wasn't that strong. You know what I mean? He didn't necessarily appeal that much. This was different because the reason why it's never been this bad, George W. Bush, for whatever it is that you want to say, the Republicans didn't really have that much of a problem with him. And if you look at America at that particular moment, we might not want it to be in the war in Iraq. We might not have wanted to be chasing around Osama bin Laden and all of that stuff. That might be true. But in the end, it wasn't like it is now. How it is now is there's a president that was convicted on 34 felony counts and impeached twice. Back in the day, this man wouldn't have even been allowed to run for office. How do we know that to be true? Let's take into account the whole hush money trial in New York. According to the courts and according to what we've seen, Donald Trump hooked up with a porn star. Donald Trump didn't want that to get out before the election. So he paid some hush money to silence her. That's it. And he was scared for that to be found out. Think about that. That is what he was scared about before 2016. Now he gets convicted of 34 felony counts after being impeached twice, and he has no fear running for re-election. In that short period of time, look at how things have changed. It's not the same. The Democratic Party's got to wake up. It has changed drastically. You know, somebody said to me, I joked around because I've been single all my life. And I said, look, man, I don't need to be running for no damn office. I've been single all my life. I've been doing some things in my lifetime. Okay. I don't need to do that. And somebody said to me, quote, please, after Donald Trump, who cares? What did Al Sharpton just say? What did Al Sharpton just say about Andrew Cuomo running for the mayor's seat in New York? He said everything's changed because Donald Trump got reelected. He said the bar is so low, I don't even know if we can find it. The point that I'm trying to make to you is that you're dealing with a different beast. You're dealing with a different time. This is not politics as usual. And let me tell the Democratic Party something else, because I hope you're not one of these people. I hope you're not one of those people out there wasting your time knocking on doors. I hope you're not doing that. Because don't worry.
Whoa. Yes, I am. Knocking on doors is good during midterms, Stephen A.
No, here's what I mean. Stop wasting your time.
I personally knocked on doors. It was great. I had good conversations. I got people to give me their ballots. We delivered them.
Listen to what I'm saying to you. If they voted for you, they were going to vote for you anyway. If they didn't vote for you, they weren't going to vote for you anyway. That's
not true. I had conversations with people who were not going to vote unless I was there at their door getting them.
I don't give a damn what they told you. I'm telling you right now, because the media and the platforms that we have available to us now, podcasting, YouTube shows, linear television, cable, streaming, there are too many outlets to watch that influence your thinking. Don't waste your time knocking on doors. Don't do it. Stop.
Get out there, make some content. Well, listen, Stephen A., this was a lot of tough love for our audience who doesn't always hear it. I really appreciate this. It was fun and entertaining and good to talk to you. And I think we need to emulate some of this in the Democratic Party. We need you guys at sports radio talk about the GOAT debate, like MJ versus LeBron. We need our own version of that, like Lincoln, Washington, Obama, Reagan. Maybe you can help me workshop this. We get something fun, make this interesting, make this more accessible to people. But I'm very grateful you came on.
Let me end it by saying this to you. Covering sports, you can have great players, right? Why would the owner not be satisfied? Because they're always looking for somebody box office. Winning is one thing that's very, very important because obviously you win during the regular season, you win through the playoffs, you play more games, you generate more revenue because you have more games to play. But nothing beats somebody who's a box office attraction because folks walk through the turnstiles if for no other reason to see him. And what I'm saying to you is, I'm not talking about a bunch of manufactured audiences like you had at the DNC in Chicago. That's not what I'm talking about, okay? I'm talking about somebody that Obama was, for example, in 2008, where ultimately he elevated to rock star status, where no matter where he went or what he had to say, the camera was a magnet for him. And then obviously you got to follow through with the message and you got to follow through with practice. All of that's true. But you got to get somebody with sizzle. You got to get somebody that when they speak, they influence minds. They influence hearts. And they get people to really, really think and spin their wheels. I'm talking about not people on the left because you got them. I'm talking about the independents. I'm talking about the centrists. You got to get somebody that can speak to that audience, that can go across the aisle and dare Republican constituency to bet against them because guess what? I'm better than the candidate that you have because I'm going to look out for you better than the candidate that you have because that's what Trump was telling a bunch of black folks, Hispanic folks. What do you have to lose and all of this other stuff? This is what Trump did. He was fearless with it. Where are those Democrats? I don't see them around. That's why I'm a damn candidate, because of that. It's embarrassing.
I love it.
I want to make sure America understands this. I believe it is an utter embarrassment to the Democratic Party that I am a candidate in people's eyes for the presidency of the United States. It's an indictment against them, and they need to get their act together before somebody like me or somebody else takes it real seriously and says the hell with y'all, because the roster that I'm seeing right now, y'all don't have anything. You don't have anything that's going to sizzle with the national audience. I love Wes Moore, and I love Josh Shapiro. I think both of them got a chance, all right? But I need somebody that was national appeal, and maybe it is one of them. I hope so. I really do, because the Democratic Party is in a bad state right now. The whole damn thing needs to be purged. I'm dead serious. They need to go. Those strategists, fire every damn one of them. Get rid of them. Get rid of them. They serve no purpose. Find somebody else.
It's good. It's good, tough love. We got to step up. Stephen A., thank you so much for doing the show. I really appreciate it.
All right, man. Take care.
That's our show for today. Thanks so much to Stephen A. for coming on. Dan and I will be back with a new show on Friday. Talk to everybody then.